with another horrible shower build slash tile job that has gone completely south for a lot of different reasons. And I'm going to be long-winded on this, so bear with me, because there's no one thing that I want to point out. People that subscribe to me over the years know why I post these videos. These videos are not to prop myself up. They're not to tell other people that don't know who I am, oh, I could go on your shower and critique all day long. Yeah, you probably could, but not to the extent that some of these jobs that I post for the last, on YouTube now, going into my 11th year, nothing comes close to some of these jobs. So this one is an anomaly. It's an anomaly because we have a large format tile. When I say large, it should be like extra, extra, extra large. When I started seeing these tile at Floor & Decor a couple years ago, I swore I would quit this work when somebody started hiring me to do this extra large tile. This is a 3 foot by 3 foot tile, 36 inches by 36 inches, big tile. And so there's going to be a lot of issues that I'm going to talk about, and I don't know where they start or begin, but I'm going to begin on this backsplash area. It's a bad grout job. Right off the bat, it's a bad grout job. Everywhere there's a bad. It's a bad caulking job. So there is, believe it or not, some Schluter up under here, but for whatever reason they spread out a bunch of caulking on top of the Schluter, so you can't tell that the Schluter is there. Regardless, it doesn't really match up to the tile. Here, not too bad. In the shower, it's worse. I don't know how they ever managed to get that cut going wrapping around the bottom plate of the window, because we're going to get into that shortly. They didn't do a 45 on there, but that's not small potatoes. I don't know how they got that cut. I'm going to get into that. And they got this cut okay too, although it's a little ragged on that side. But they did the same type of thing. They didn't do a 45 in the corner. They ran a bunch of caulking. I don't know why they would do that. Right on top of the Schluter material, and it doesn't quite match up on here. So the problem with a large format tile, that's horrible. That's horrible. Part of that problem is I think they had too much thin set going on. But they didn't hit the edge, the lip of the tub. What would otherwise be the backsplash of a tub is relatively thick. So they matched it up here and a couple of other areas, but not over here. So the problem with large format tile, there's a lot of problems with it. The weight alone keeps me from wanting to do it because it's so large. The other problem with it is that you need a special tile cutter. They have these elongated tile cutters that, have that actually the motor moves rather than the table, right? So you would be able to put a extra large format tile across that table, and then they have like a rail. And so the motor would sit on the rail and it would do the cut for you. That's the proper tool. They do have a extra large format manual cutter that you would just score and snap. But yeah, I would probably go to the former rather than the latter if I had my choice. These guys didn't have that. So, oh, by the way, sometimes when I do these videos, well, that was the homeowner. I guarantee you 100% this was not the homeowner who did this. So just put that out there. With a large format tile where you don't have the proper equipment, you end up using the improper equipment. And what he did is use a grinder. And a grinder, for two reasons, this tile is so long that a grinder is going to do two things. It's going to, I think these are two factory edges, but the grinder, and he hid it with, God, that's horrible. So he hid all the chipping that happens with a grinder. I think they told me that he never changed out the wheel, the blade either. So you're going to chip. This is a porcelain tile with a finished surface on it, and inevitably a grinder is going to do a bad job on this. Plus, you're not going to be able to get a fence. You're not going to be able to align this up to get a straight cut 3 foot long. Just not going to happen. You would have to be extra good, and these guys weren't. The other issue, well, there's a lot of issues. God, this is horrible too. So this is a schluter on the edge. Look at that. Wow. This is a schluter too, but it, you know, obviously huge lippage going on with that schluter. They didn't match it up to the outside schluter here either. Kind of a recess going on. So there's a, it's a bad job in a lot of different ways. And so now we get into the shower proper. And the shower proper is even worse. There's a lot of lippage going on here. And the lippage is very, very obvious, although the lighting isn't that great. But the lippage is on every intersection of every tile. I think with few exceptions, because as I run my finger across, even small lippage is going on. And I think it only marries up in small areas rather than vice versa. If there's going to be any lippage, then it should only be minimal at best. And this has it everywhere. So they didn't use leveling clips, and I'm here to tell you now, with large format tile, anything larger than a 12 by 12 or a 13 by 13, you're gonna need leveling clips. There's not anybody that good to match up bowed tile, and the larger the tile is, the more bowing that you potentially have. So you cannot get away with freestyling, for lack of a better term, tile work with a large format tile. It's not going to work. Everywhere you have lippage is because they try to freestyle, and you cannot do that. I think this is probably the best it is. I think around this area they did it okay, but you know, overall it's, you know, lippage everywhere. Lippage everywhere. They tried to do a very, very small grout line, which is problematic. I don't know if this is rectified tile or not. I'm assuming it is, and in which case they would have had spacers, which they obviously didn't, because you saw over there were huge lines. And here the lines are kind of buried as well. Some of it barely has any space at all, and then you have larger lines going on back there. Although they tapered off some of the grout to take up for the lippage, because they knew they had lippage, so they tried to taper off the grout. It's just a bad job. At the very top, there's about half to maybe 3/4 of an inch before the ceiling. And I don't know why that happened, because if you go down to the bottom, there's about an inch and a half, well, about 2 inches of tile that was cut at the bottom. And so that 2 inches of tile could have just as easily been 2 1/4 had they had this tile go up to the ceiling, right? That would have taken up that discrepancy. Then you would have, if you're gonna have a cut down there, 2 1/4 instead of 2 inches. So that doesn't make any sense. It is staggered. I think there's a 4 or 5 inch cut here, and a 6 inch or 5 inch cut here, and then another 4, 4.5 cut over there. So it is staggered to a certain extent, because this shower is wider than 36 inches. I think it's about 40 inches or something like that. So they end up having to do the staggering. But at the end of the day, it looks kind of stupid for this large format tile to have. Yeah, so what I would have suggested is just draw a straight line down the center, and then just do half and half and half and half all the way up. But that's just me. Same over here, they stagger the tile back and forth and all that stuff. And, you know, again, that's kind of the customer's choice rather than my choice sometimes. But, you know, like, I give advice as much as I can, and then the customer either chooses to go with it or ignore it. Now we get into some of the worst things about this shower. When I go on a shower, and I usually do a consultation, when I do a video like this, I'm not doing this job, so it's just a consultation visit type of thing. And I will look at things right away before I even go on camera to see if they were a tile guy, see if they built showers before, and right away I could tell that this curb has a very slight drop going this direction, which is back assward. So you want a very profound slope going this direction. You want something that's definitive so that water sheds off and into the shower. And in this case, it's not happening. So right out the gate, I already knew that this guy had never built a shower before. And then we have a split of tile because See, this is, again, the symmetry matters, right? You have this long 3-foot piece and then a 4-inch cut. So why not just split the difference? And then have, you know what I mean, a grout line in the middle, which would have actually matched up to the floor. Yeah. So a lot of those things I look at. So not only was he not really symmetrically inclined to maybe even do a floor tile, but you know, definitely he's never built a shower before. Then we get into the crux of the problem. So the homeowner said that they could almost, although they're not happy with all the lippage, obviously, they could almost live with that, except that the floor is having a lot of problems. So let me get into the floor. Oh, by the way, before I get into the floor, I don't have a tape measure or anything for a definitive measurement, but I know already this shower pan is very shallow. If you look on the outside of the floor, and then you look on the inside of the shower, there's about an inch, maybe an inch and a half between the two, which tells me that the shower pan is very, very shallow at the perimeter. Well, if it's that shallow at the perimeter, how shallow at the drain is it? Which is a problem, because you don't have enough girth of your mortar material to be hard enough to withstand everything that's going to happen in the shower. So that's a big problem to me, which may be part and parcel to the reason why they're having this issue. So what they said to me is, shortly after these people left and totally screwed up their shower, the grout started popping out. So they have come in here in the last, I guess, couple months that the shower is finished and put in some more grout. But unfortunately, the grout is now also popping out. There's some caulking, I think, going on. Nope, that is string. So these mosaic pieces are on a mat with a fiberglass mesh, and this is part of that fiberglass mesh that's coming through the grout line. Very unfortunate situation. Anyway, they've come in here with this grout, which is kind of degrading in my hand because it never got dry, but also, well, not also, but look at that. Look what I'm squeezing up. Isn't that crazy? So this is pre-mixed thin set. Ladies and gentlemen, please, and I've said it on other videos before, pre-mixed thin set is garbage. I have no use for it anywhere, let alone a tile floor. But they didn't know what they were doing, obviously. And then, of course, the customers involved, well, the homeowners also continued to use the shower, which is still not good because this stuff will never dry on its own anyway, let alone adding extra water to it. So there's a lot of, sometimes, you know, you say, Bob, I've seen just about everything. Then you come on a job like this and you're like, well, I guess I haven't seen everything. The tile is not, it was never sloped evenly. You can tell there's a drop over here and this is a high spot over here. I don't know if there's any pooling. There probably is up around this area because, again, I think it has to do with the thickness of the shower pan. They just never did the shower pan correctly. And on top of that, I think they went back with the old drain. They never did anything with this drain. This is the original drain. This was a fiberglass shower. Fiberglass tub, fiberglass shower, builder's grade, right? This is another funny thing that's kind of a side note. Fiberglass shower is finite. Tub is finite. Between the two, you usually have a wall that'll be a 2x4 and then sheetrock on either side, or 2x6 and sheetrock on either side. Look at the thickness of that wall. And there's absolutely no reason for that, except that the builder ordered the wrong fiberglass unit because the tub is finite at 60 inches, but the shower was smaller. And they're like, oh crap, we gotta make our wall. I've never seen a wall this thick, ever. It's craziness. So, I digress. This was the original drain to the fiberglass shower, without a doubt. You see the pipe in here is dark. That's ABS pipe. We don't use ABS pipe in Georgia. I see it on occasion from back in the 80s and the 90s, but ABS is long. This house is new enough not to have ABS. Either which way, when they took this out, they weren't about trying to cut out the P-trap below floor, trying to change out, you know, put a 3-piece drain in and all that stuff. So this concerns me a lot, because if they didn't put in a 3-piece drain and they used the fiberglass shower drain, which basically works on a compression type basis, right? You have the top piece and then the bottom piece, and there's a rubber gasket at the bottom that presses on the bottom of the fiberglass to give you your seal with plumber's putty along the top of here. So I don't know. I really don't know what I don't know. I do know this. This drives me crazy. Either the squares will go this way or that way, but when they go diagonal, yeah, that drives me up the wall. It's a horrible job. It's a horrible, horrible job. You know, what can be fixed on this? Nothing. You can't salvage this. This has to be redone. You know, this whole shower pan at the very minimum has to be redone. Very minimum. And then how do you do the shower pan when you have this large format tile? Because normally on a 12 by 12 or 12 by 24, you take out one tile all the way around, and then you can kind of proactively go forward with doing the whole pan. Everything comes out, and then you do everything correct again, and you'll have no problem. How do you do that with this large format tile, with this minimal grout line going on? To get a new shower pan liner in here and all that stuff, you can't. So all you can do is pull out all of this tile, hopefully go up to that line there so it disappears with some mortar, pack it down really well, you know, red guard it, curdy, something, and then put tile on top of that. But this all has to be dried out first. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to make this happen, but it's a shame. So I'm not going to name names. I never do when I do consultations like this. There's no point. Whether the contractor or the homeowner shall remain nameless. But one of the heads up about this job, knowing that this is a fiberglass shower, knowing that they're doing 3 foot by 3 foot tile to the ceiling, knowing that with all the material I see here, right, these guys charge $2,000. This is not a $2,000 job, not in my world, right? Maybe 20 years ago, I may have charged $2,000 to do a job like this, but not with everything that I see here going on. No way. That should have been your heads up. When you don't pay enough for a job, I'm not saying that you pay the highest price, but somewhere, I don't know, there's a lot of different ways to vet somebody when they come in to do a job, whether they A, know what they're doing, or B, know that they have some type of warranty, something to where if they screw up this bad that they'll, you know what, my bad, let me come back and fix it. Although the other mindset is, why would I have this guy come back and fix this when he messed up all of that, right? So you're kind of in this weird conundrum, and it's unfortunate. If they had only gone to a standalone tile store, just go to a standalone tile store and talk to the guy at the counter who deals with people who do showers, not just tile work, but showers all day long. That guy behind the counter knows that he's selling shower drains, that he's selling Curdy Schuler products, that he's selling Red Guard, he's selling all these products to people who do showers. For years and years, he's known that guy, right? That's the guy that you're gonna get the reference from. You're not getting it from Thumbtack and Craigslist and all these other places, because you know, this $2,000 plus material. I think these guys said they're into it $5,000, and it's a shame, because you know, it should have been better than this, and it's not, and it bothers me, and that's why I do these videos. A heads up. I wish these guys had watched some of my videos prior to hiring these people, because you know, they messed it up worse than any homeowner. Trust me, I've had homeowners that have done better jobs than some of the jobs that I highlight on my videos, but this is one of the worst. Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing up from YouTube at all. If you're gonna call me for advice,
please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post videos. And thank you very much for your support.